News, Ashley Judd just tweeted that buying Apple products, again, is akin to rape from her iPhone. Rape. Well, now she knows how my brain felt after Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. But we're bringing up, oh, she said it. What is this obsession with Ashley Judd and rape? It's pretty unnerving. This next guy, there's so much you can say about him. I mean, everyone here knows who he is. You're not ready yet, okay. How are you doing? I just want to know how you folks are feeling. There you go, good. You know, I have these bright white zeros, and they come out and go, no, you need more time, you need more time. I mean, these are mixed signals for me. You know, maybe we can bring a union guy out here to just punch me in the face repeatedly. Can we do that? Apparently, I'm pretty good at that. Do one of my routines. I can't, not in a minute and a half, so hopefully we got this guy. Listen, let me just tell you something about this guy. I'm jealous of him because I've never had the ability to grow a beard. It's been great shame for me. And this gentleman, I love him. He's done so much. But let me tell you this, as someone who works online, someone who does online videos, that's where I started long before Fox News contributorship. I was a comedian and hawked videos online. If it weren't for this gentleman and the center that he started, Media Research Center, I wouldn't have a job. Anyone here, any bloggers here or writers here who work online, can you show of hands? By the way, let's give them a round of applause just to tell them how grateful we are for them. You folks are the game changers here. MRC is such a valuable resource. If you want to find out media bias, you want to find out what's going on right now, you go to this site. So not only has he done that, the guy's written 3 books. He appears, I'm sure you see, weekdays on Media Mash, on Hannity. Most importantly, he looks fantastic in a dinner jacket. And tonight, he is here as chairman for America. Please welcome Mr. Brent Bozell.
Ask for money, then get advice. Ask for advice, get money twice. I'm from the dirty,
yes,
but
I
that
do.
Chico nice. Y'all call it a moment.
Well, hello. How y'all doing today? How you doing? I want to let you know that after 3 long days, they've saved the best for last. Me. And since the disastrous election results in November, there's been a whole lot of gnashing of teeth and beating of breasts and whippings of back and all sorts of other rather silly machinations as one so-called expert after another tells us that we need to rethink the conservative movement. No, we don't. We need to stop listening to the advice coming from the professional politicians and consultants most responsible for these train wrecks. If you need someone to pilot your ship, do you ask advice from the captain of the Titanic? So what is it that we really should do? The answer is simple, I think. If the Republican Party wants to arrest the slow, steady slide into the abyss of political oblivion, it can do so by once more embracing its conservative principles. A couple of months ago, I was on NPR discussing this topic with NPR's token conservative, David Brooks. And the name of Ronald Reagan inevitably arose, at which point he said with great exasperation, "When are you people going to get over Ronald Reagan? He was 30 years ago." To which I replied that 30 years ago was about the last time we had a conservative in the White House. Get over Ronald Reagan? Let me suggest that we need to get over men like David Brooks. These days, so many Republicans in this town, unfortunately, seem to understand conservatism and Ronald Reagan as much as Alec Baldwin understands temper management, or Michael Moore understands elegance, or Joe Biden understands anything. I mean, really, is it true that the Vice President of the United States has said that transgender discrimination is the civil rights issue of our time? He did. He really did. God help the Republic. So what do we conservatives do? What is a conservative? Over the last 3 days, you've gotten some terrific and eloquent speeches from people who have been talking about this, so I'm not going to go there. Instead, I'm going to talk about what a conservative isn't. Paul Ryan, you're a good man, and you mean well, and you had real courage in taking on Medicare, and you've shown real courage in taking on the issue of Obamacare. But your proposed budget of $41 trillion over the next 10 years, with more and more and more spending every year, keeping the Obamacare taxes, is not conservatism. This is what Democrats do. It's not what we do. Do you have national aspirations? Do yourself and your country a favor. Take that budget back and return with a new one. Come with one that truly does reduce the size of government, that puts us on the path not to a balanced budget by reducing deficits, but on a path to solvency by eradicating the national debt. Then watch what happens, not just to your political aspirations, but to your legacy. Haley Barbour, my friend, when you call for unity and you call for conservatives to, quote, sing from the same hymnal, and then publicly attack conservative groups like Club for Growth, you're out of tune and you're out of line. Do you want to be seen as a conservative leader? Start supporting conservative organizations. John Boehner, Eric Cantor, Kevin McCarthy. You said all the right things to conservatives to propel the GOP back to majority control, and you to the top leadership positions there. You, like virtually every single Republican elected to Congress, solemnly vowed to rid us of Obamacare, which you can do simply by refusing to fund it. Why haven't you done so? And while we're at it, when the Secretary of HHS decrees that we should be forced to pay for the murder of babies, why don't you decree that Americans will no longer pay for HHS? What of all the other oppressive, and in the case of Planned Parenthood, evil organizations immorally funded by our tax dollars? What of the utterly useless agencies like NPR, PBS, and Legal Services, and the NEA, and so many others you solemnly pledged to put out of our misery? You've done nothing over the last 2 years but give us excuses and more commitments that tomorrow, yes, tomorrow, you're going to honor those promises. Gentlemen, where promises are concerned, you're not what you promised to be. Do you want to restore your reputations as conservative leaders? All you need to do is honor your promises. They were good ones. Watch what happens. You'll be heroes. Jeb Bush, about those proposed tax increases of yours. Apparently you didn't get the memo that when Republicans agree to raise taxes, if Democrats will agree to cut spending, one side always honors its promise and the other always breaks its. And maybe you need to do some research on what happens to Bush family members who raise taxes. Do you have national aspirations? Go Reagan and see what happens. Governor Bob McDonnell. Want to read my speech? Because I got it right here. You ran and you won as a fiscal conservative. You leave punishing Virginia with the largest tax increase in our history. I wish we'd never elected you. Do you have national aspirations? In your case, my friend, forget about them. And then there's Karl Rove. Now, old Karl had a bad year last year. It happens. We all have bad years. It just so happens that Karl Rove had the worst political year in the history of man, with the worst investment return since the stock market crash of 1929. So what did he do? Take responsibility? No. He and his political consultant hacks decided to blame us instead. It wasn't hard to do, I suppose. They never were conservatives. These are the moderates who fought Goldwater in '64, Reagan in '76, and then in 1980. And since then, virtually every conservative leader at every level of public office who has dared challenge moderate or liberal Republican orthodoxy. These are the moderates who backed first Gerald Ford and then George Bush over Ronald Reagan, Arlen Specter over Pat Toomey, Charlie Crist over Marco Rubio, Dewhurst over Cruz. Rove kneecapped Christine O'Donnell after she won her primary. He's called Rick Perry's policy prescriptions toxic. He says Sarah Palin lacks gravitas. He's declared publicly that Rand Paul, quote, causes GOP squeamishness. Do you know what he's called you? You, my friends, are the party's nutty fringe. And now he says he wants to protect the GOP from, quote, challenges by far-right conservatives and Tea Party enthusiasts. That's you again. No wonder Media Matters has called Karl Rove the Republican voice of reason. Now, the ultimate in cynical arrogance arrived last month when Rove and his fellow professional consultants announced the formation of the Conservative Victory Project. They really thought they were going to get away with it. You can put lipstick on a pig, but a pig it remains. Conservatives met this attack, primarily Mark Levin, with a with a thunderous nationwide broadside. And in 24 hours, he was in full retreat. Why, I love the Tea Party, he now proclaims. Why, some of my best friends are conservatives, he pleads. Incredibly, he cites Pat Toomey and Rand Paul as people he's helped elect. He's even stated he ran the state of Texas for Ronald Reagan in 1980, which is interesting since he never worked for Ronald Reagan in 1980. No, the last thing the GOP needs is for the anti-conservative professional political consultant class infecting its ranks. And the last thing we need as conservatives is having them infiltrating ours. But let's suppose these moderates really want to work with us. I'll break bread with them. I'll even set the table for them. But this time, and for all time, they will work with us on our terms, with our vision and our agenda. Take it or leave it. Our days of playing second fiddle to moderates are over. We conservatives believe in freedom, real freedom, the greatest political experiment in history, the freedom entrusted to us by the founders, ensured by the blood of millions of Americans throughout history, and which once made America the envy of the world. And let me be clear about this. The first freedom, on which all other freedoms are built, is the sanctity of human life. We believe in prosperity, real prosperity, where every man is given the opportunity to succeed fully on his terms, based on his efforts, and free to retain the fruits of his labor, free from the tentacles of confiscatory government. It is the economic philosophy that once made America the envy of the world. We believe in virtue, because without virtue, freedom leads to anarchy. De Tocqueville put it best when he said that America was great because America was good and not the other way around. It's that goodness that saved the world from Nazism, then communism, and now international terrorism. It is a goodness that believes in a moral code, which is why we put God on our currency, His commandments in our courts, and His prayer in our schools. This, ladies and gentlemen, was American exceptionalism. Is it over? I don't think so. This is where we must go again. Let this be the clarion call for conservatives. Back to greatness. Let's begin today. Thank you.
Ask for money and get advice. Ask for advice, get money twice. I'm from the dirty, but that Chico nice. Y'all call it a moment.